Doing a quick mic check. Okay. If you are a candidate for governor or a legislator, or you're speaking today, please make your way back to the green room, back through under this exit sign. That would be you, Mr. James. You are speaking. Oh, I got some claps. All right. If I could get everybody to take their seats and we'll get this thing going. We want to try to stay on time as much as possible. We just had our back room meeting to make sure everybody knows. Governor candidates are going to get 2 minutes each. This whole event is kind of focused more on our legislative session for the last year, so we're going to hold them tight to that. There won't be a Q&A for governor candidates, I'm sorry, but you can talk to them afterwards, get their phone numbers, whatever, for that. My name is Keith Anderson, so I was part of the 3 people that helped pull this event together. I can't thank you guys enough for coming. I did ask to give a little speech. I hope all of you got your rotten vegetables at the door. If you are unhappy with what I say, please throw them. If I don't get hit by any rotten vegetables, I'm going to assume I'm the greatest speaker since Anthony Robbins. Good evening. A few months ago, after appearing on Better Nate Than Never, I pitched a simple idea. What if Nate brought together the legislators he'd interviewed prior to session to participate in a simple roundtable conversation? Nothing flashy, just a start. That landed us here. As W.H. Murray once wrote, the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. Whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. This event, this gathering, is living proof. What began as a whisper became a tingling buzz filling this room. And from here, it only grows. I want to thank Nate Wiggins for creating the space where that spark was struck and for taking the time to act as a host and interviewer. If you're not subscribed to Better Nate Than Never, please fix that tonight. I expect to hear from him by tomorrow that his numbers have climbed, and he is well on his way to becoming a powerful conservative voice within northern Colorado. I want to thank Trent Licey and Sandy Figueroa for helping bring this to life. Trent's efforts were exemplary. From the website, to the logo, to the invites, he took my half-formed idea and ran with it. Sandy was outstanding in her efforts to ensure maximum legislator attendance and the bustling meet and greet that we had out front. Now, I want to state something plainly. There's been tension in this county, in this state, even surrounding this very event. Some of that's political, some of it's personal, but none of it has to be permanent. For several months, I find myself coming back to the concept of grace. I am trying to understand its importance in my own life. Not as a slogan, not as a platitude, as a discipline, as a form of strength. Grace is what allows us to move forward without pretending the past didn't happen. It doesn't mean silence. It doesn't mean weakness. If you've been in this game long enough, if you've knocked doors, made and lost friendships, celebrated and borne campaigns, then chances are you've been wronged. Or you've wronged somebody else. Maybe both. Here's what I'm asking. If you feel you're owed an apology, please ask for it. If you're asked for one, please give it. Grace doesn't erase wounds, but it keeps them from hardening the scars that permanently divide us. This is the first annual Northern Colorado Legislative Wrap-Up. It wasn't meant to be perfect. It was meant to be a beginning, a chance to invite Providence to move with us. Next year, we'll do it again, and we'll do it better, because that's how movements grow, with reflection, with action, and with boldness. Thank you for being part of this first step. Thank you for committing. Now, let Providence move. With that, I would ask you guys to all stand up, bow your heads. We're going to start with our prayer. Thank you, sir.
Our Father who is in heaven, holy is your name. May your kingdom come and may your will be done here in Colorado as it is in heaven. Father, we give you honor and glory. You are the preeminent, undefeated, indomitable, unbeaten one. You are the boss. You've seen the end from the beginning. And we pray, Father, I'm coming here to ask you with these people that you would pour out your blessing on the state of Colorado. Father, your word says that when the righteous rule, the city rejoices. And I pray right now that those that you've stirred and called to run for office, that you've also anointed. We want those people, God. We ask you for leaders that carry righteousness in their character and in their family. I pray, God, that you would give us leaders who are peacemakers at heart, but have the courage to know when it's time to fight. Your word says you will bless the righteous, you will surround them with favor as with a shield. I pray that you would surround each candidate, protect their families, protect their homes, protect their businesses, God. And we ask you for new leadership in this state that will protect the next generation. God, from the womb to out of the womb, to protect their identities. Father, we have to figure out the difference between a man and a woman, or we are doomed. We have left your ways, Father, and we are returning. I ask that you would bless this gathering, everybody that's given their time to come here, energy. I pray that the favor of God would pour out on their life. And God, give us a leadership that will not bow their knee figuratively or literally to every idol that comes across that society is pushing on us. Give us people that know how to stand, and give us leaders, God, that have the wisdom to build so that we would have safe streets, safe homes, prosperous cities. We thank you for all this. We know that's your will, and we know that you have the plan. We want to line up and follow your plan in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Good evening. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Where did he go? Can you hand that to Trent? Everybody's ready? Everybody's lined up?
Hi folks, this is State Senator Mark Baisley. Sorry that I can't be with you today. I'll be in Washington, D.C. this week on a tour with historian David Barton. I like to do this on occasion just to be reminded of the amazing, incredible principles on which this nation was founded. The principles that apply to Colorado, of course, as well, but they're also the principles that the Democratic Party has been rejecting for the past 10, 15 years. It's up to you and me to get it back, and we will. Next year will be the timing when we get everything done correctly, we work hard, we get out the vote, and we take this state back. And we'll do that because this state is worth saving. You and I will do this together. I'm Mark Baisley. I appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
Hello, my friend Mark Baisley. I am Scott Bottoms. I am a state representative, District 15, that's Colorado Springs, and I'm running for governor. And here's the things, we all know all the bad stuff that's going on. We know they're coming after parental rights, they're coming after families, children, Second Amendment, they're coming after the economy, oil, gas, farming, ranching. We know all the negative, but let me give you some things that I think will show you a path forward with this. We can reclaim Colorado. 26 is a window that we're going to have that we're not going to have again in the future, I believe, in a long time. But we have the ability to turn the state red in 26, and we're hearing this mostly from Democrats. They know we're going to be turning the state red. Here's 6 things I'm going to do. I'm going to reclaim parenthood and childhood. We need to give children childhood back, not just the right to have a surgery at 12 or you can't buy ammo till you're 21, but we need to actually reclaim childhood and parenthood. We're also going to reclaim safety and security. We're going to push the fact that everybody has the right to defend themselves, and I'm a Second Amendment person with no infringement mentalities. Pillar number 3, we're going to reclaim economy and energy, coal, oil, gas, farming and ranching. That's what Colorado is, and we're not going to let Denver steal this from us. The fourth thing, we're going to reclaim affordable and accessible health care. Been meeting with doctors all over the state trying to figure out how to do this. This is a behemoth, but we can do it in Colorado. One of the basic concept is choice. Fifth thing, we're going to reclaim government transparency and fiscal responsibility. I have been sitting in the House for 3 years watching some of the most corrupt, the most underhanded trick that you could ever call a budget that has come through. We're going to destroy that. We're going to reclaim that. And the last one is we're going to reclaim human innovation and AI technology. This is moving very quickly. By the time we get to the election, AI technology is going to be vastly different than it is now, and a lot of jobs are going to be lost from this. But we're going to fill that vacuum and that void with common sense stuff. So thank you for listening. I'm Scott Bottoms. I'm going to be your next governor.
Why should you vote for me, Colorado? 1, everyone gets a 10% raise, even the Democrats. 2, teachers get a 20% raise. 3, no crime. 4, we will be the energy producing capital of the world, right here in America, right here in Colorado. That will produce a lot of jobs and a lot more money to put into education, education, education. Peace.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bryson Garrison, and I'm running for governor. Great video behind me, but I'd like to just share a few things about me. One about how I got here. A friend of mine got into politics, and he was a police officer, and I was kind of impressed by that. But I figured if a police officer could do it, with me being in the fire service, it would be easy for me to at least get in there and show him how it was done. So I kind of took that as an opportunity or a little challenge, but I love my law enforcement brothers. And why I'm here is really, I think, for the same reason all of you are in this room. We want to bring back that old Colorado that you either grew up in or that you moved here for. And I think we've lost a lot of that along the way. And today's generation really does need that. And I'd love to be that person that finds a way to bring Colorado, that old Colorado, back. And part of the reason why I think I've got some background that might make that successful is I see Colorado as a bit of a state of emergency. And we are really, really struggling with a very one-sided agenda inside of Colorado, and we need to bring back that balance. And one of the things that I've done really well in my past is find a way to bring resolve to emergencies. Whether that's the law enforcement crisis right now where we're not enforcing laws at the state level and rejecting federal initiatives to take care of our state. I think we have an opportunity with the roadways in Colorado to improve those. There's certainly legislation that is challenging businesses to be able to thrive in Colorado, and all of that's making it really, really difficult for our families. So those are some of the things that I think are on everybody's mind, and we're looking for some solutions. And we need to do that together as a team. I'm a great collaborator, and I love to bring people together to find some unique solutions to these challenges we're facing in Colorado. And I'd like to be able to be the person that does that. So what I'm going to ask you is, if you've got some questions about what that might look like, is after the opportunity of the event tonight to let me know, sit down and talk with me a little bit. Thank you, everybody. Bryson Garrison for governor.
Colorado is his home. It's where he's raising his family. He served his country, and now Joshua Griffin is stepping up to serve again. Joshua is a husband, a father, an Army veteran, and a proud conservative. And now he's running for governor of Colorado. Why? Because the Colorado we know and love is slipping away. Families are working harder than ever, and still falling behind. Crime is rising, costs are soaring, and career politicians, they've stopped listening. Joshua Griffin isn't a politician. He's a leader, a man of service, discipline, and conviction. Someone who does what's right, even when it's not easy. He believes in inner limited government that works for the people, in safe communities where families can thrive, in real support for veterans, parents, and small business owners, and in protecting the values that make Colorado strong: family, freedom, and faith. This campaign isn't about left or right. It's about what's right for all of us. Joshua Griffin isn't running to be someone. He's running to do something. For our families, for our future, for a stronger Colorado. Join the movement. Support Joshua Griffin for governor. Let's take Colorado back and move it forward. Colorado.
So let me start by telling you the truth. You know, the Colorado that we know and love is being erased. But here's the good news. Colorado is ready for a comeback. I say that we make Colorado, Colorado again. Do you agree? Yes. You know, I am proud to be a Colorado Republican. Are you proud to be a Colorado Republican? Yes. You know, let's say it together. We're proud to be a Colorado Republican. Are you guys ready to fight for this state? Yes. You know, we're Colorado Republicans. You know, we don't back down from a challenge. We don't stay down when they knock us down. You know, we have seen the left policies hurt our economy, our schools, and our way of life. But this is not the end of our story. It's the beginning of our comeback. You know, we are rising again with courage, conviction, and common sense. If you're frustrated, good, because that means you still care. Now is the time for us to rise, to mobilize, and to come together. You know, the next chapter is not going to be about what they've done. It's going to be about what we are going to do. Colorado has changed, and not for the good. You know, families are struggling. Crime is rising. The cost of living is going through the ceiling. And yet they're teaching our kids that they should not respect what makes America great. Look, setbacks do not define the Republican Party. Comebacks do. We are the party of Reagan, Lincoln, and liberty. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in economic rights. We believe in parental rights. We believe in strong economies. And look, when times are tough and the odds are against us, we don't give up. We come from ranchers, pioneers, and patriots, people that knew how to do something with nothing. You know, we have that same spirit of grit, of courage, and of fire. And this is what we need to bring together when we roll forward to make sure that we make Colorado a state that we can all be proud of. As we walk through this election, I need you to remember that what we must do is make sure that we support our Republican candidates, that we make sure that we move forward. Look beyond the primary. Identify who can actually win the general. My name is Greg Lopez. I'm going to be your next governor. Thank you very much.
The will of the people is coming in 2026. And today it was filed a ballot initiative to do away with state income tax. How many of you want to do away with state income tax? I can't hear you. How many of you want to do away with state income tax? It's your money and you should keep it. And today I filed a ballot initiative to do away with state income tax. And if you vote, it will be gone. It will be repealed from the state constitution. I'm also running for governor. And I thought, well, if I'm running for one statewide race, why not run for two? And I want to tell you about the 3 M's of McBride. There's a message here of McBride. We've all heard it. Most of these candidates, we all share the same values of constitutional freedoms. We want to make sure we want to create a business environment here by doing away with state income tax and giving that money to you. We all share those same messages, but the message is crickets. Thank you. For over 20 years, we haven't had a Republican governor. Why? Because we can't get the message out. We have to have somebody go to the middle. Hablo español. Mis padres vinieron de México. My dad came from Mexico. I speak Spanish. I've been advertising, spending millions of dollars as a trial lawyer for over 10 years here in Colorado. We can reach out to the Latino community because they are conservative. We've got to go to the unaffiliated voter and get that in. So we have a message, and I want to be the messenger. I have 2 law degrees. I'm a licensed seminary. I'm a licensed and ordained minister. And also, I want to talk about the third M, money. It's like real estate. Money, money, money. Unfortunately, that's what you got to do. In order to raise this money, you've got to have somebody go out there. This is a $30 to $40 million race. I know what it is to raise that money. And if we can't get the money, we will be crickets. So I'm Will McBride. I have the message. I want to be your messenger. I've represented people in courtrooms for over 22 years. I want to take that message. I know how to make a case. And I want to make the case for conservatives to take back Colorado, because we, the people, tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. I'm Will McBride, and the will of the people is coming in 2026. I look forward to earning your vote. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Bob Moore. I was born and raised in Colorado with my 4 siblings. I graduated from high school in Lakewood. My father was a state representative, my mom, nursing supervisor at Denver Health Hospital. After high school, I was accepted to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, earning a bachelor's degree and a commission in the U.S. Army. Later on, I got a master's in business degree. I've led troops in combat zones in Iraq and Afghanistan, culminating my career with the Army Special Operations Command at Fort Bragg. In the private sector, I helped start up a computer company called Compaq, which was then purchased by Hewlett-Packard. I was an executive at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise and recently at Supermicro. I'm running for governor because I think we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to make Colorado great and more conservative again. The Democrat Party has never been this unpopular since the second term of Ronald Reagan, and I'm not the only one that thinks that. I happened to meet Eric Trump at a dinner gala last Saturday. He's also convinced we can move Colorado in the right direction. But to do that, we need the right Republican nominee. We need a fighter, a warrior, because make no mistake, this election will be a battle for the future of Colorado. We need someone intelligent, articulate, charismatic, with a business background, because the business of Colorado should be business and not just politics. We need someone who cares deeply for our state, has some connections, can be well-funded. Every one of the Republican candidates you'll hear from would certainly do a much better job than our current governor or the presumptive Democratic nominee. But I think I can deliver a combination of military discipline, fight, along with some decades of business acumen and connection. I promise I'll preserve Tabor, lower taxes, which will give you more disposable income to afford the high cost of living in Colorado. I have a plan to reduce the cost of home ownership while eliminating the housing shortage in our state. I plan to make Colorado more affordable and business-friendly. I promise to work with law enforcement to make Colorado City safe again. And I promise to guide our state assembly to focus on solving big issues for Coloradoans instead of wasting time drafting superfluous bills that strip parents of custody of their children for just using wrong pronouns. We deserve a more prosperous and affordable Colorado. We deserve better than a state government that codifies wokeness. We deserve better than driving our senior citizens and young families out of the state because they just can't afford to live here anymore. We deserve better, and we deserve more. Thanks for your time. I hope you'll visit my website at coloradodeservesmore.com.
Good evening, Patriots. My name is Alexander Mugatu. I'm a born and raised native of Pueblo, Colorado. And I just want to take the time first and foremost to thank Trent, Keith, and Sandy for hosting this event here tonight and bringing us all together. I'm looking forward to spending a lot more time with you guys in the future trying to take back our state of Colorado. So I want to give them a round of applause for hosting this event tonight. So the disadvantage of going last is everybody pretty much gives your speech for you. I jumped into this race because I see that there has been a way that we have governed that just hasn't been working for Colorado. I think that we've let this one party take over our entire state, and they are having carte blanche over our freedoms and rights. And I think that that is a bad thing for communities that don't necessarily see things the same way as the Gold Dome. I think that's a problem. Some of our candidates here, my colleagues on the campaign trail, they talked about eliminating the income tax. How many of you enjoy the privilege of leasing your own property, your own home from your own government in order to keep it? How many of you would like to see your property taxes abolished in Colorado? How many of you would like to take action, to take a broader stance in your own government, take action in your own government into the way that you are actually leading our state to the future? I'm not running for governor to govern over we the people. I'm running for governor to govern your government. And that is the big distinction between the legislature right now. That is a big distinction between what Jared Polis and John Hickenlooper and Bill Ritter have done in the past. And I look forward to bringing this message to the forefront for the next generation. I am Alex Mugatu. Thank you for coming here tonight.
All right, I just wanted to thank our governor candidates for keeping everything short and sweet. It was a very good job by all of them. If we could get a round of applause for all the governor candidates. Awesome. It's my pleasure to introduce Kathy Ulrich with Protect Kids Colorado.
Good evening. I have been retired from teaching for 13 years, but never in my teaching career could I have imagined the assault on children that I'm seeing now. During my 39 years of teaching in Colorado, I had great relationships with my students, but not once did I ever have a student tell me he or she was the wrong gender. And maybe I was just lucky, but no child in the high schools I taught at committed suicide. What is happening today has been perpetrated and pushed by individuals with an agenda to destroy our children, our families, and our society. The state of Colorado is perhaps the most extreme in the country concerning this. This year, Colorado passed 2 harmful bills. Part of House Bill 1312 silences any responsible adult who refuses to fully affirm the name and gender changes. House Bill 1309 requires all health insurance plans in Colorado to cover gender-affirming health care and even facial surgery and cosmetic procedures. Protect Kids Colorado is an organization that is doing everything it can to protect our children. We will start circulating petitions in August in order to get 3 issues on the ballot in 2025. The first is protecting girls' sports from biological males. The second prohibits irreversible sex change surgeries on children aged 17 and younger. And the third sets a penalty of life in prison without parole for anyone who buys or sells a minor child for sex in Colorado. Please stop by our table and sign up to carry the petitions. Or if you can't carry petitions, just sign them when they become available in August. We need your help, the help of churches and the help of everyone else you know to protect our children. You can go to protectkidscolorado.org to learn more. Thank you.
All right, next up, to thank everybody who attended. This event couldn't have been done without her. I really want to welcome Sandy Figueroa. Please give a round of applause.
Thank you, Keith. Good evening, everyone. I am so very excited to be here with all of you like-minded individuals. Wait, I don't like that term because it's a woke term. All my liberal friends use it, so I need to come up with another term. How about, I'm so excited to be here with all of you patriots. Tonight, we are so fortunate to have 22 organizations here sharing with us the passion that they have for conservative values. I want to thank all of these 22 organizations. Here we go. Adams County GOP, Chainsaw Caucus, Coalition to Recall Gordon McLaughlin, Colorado Federation of Young Republicans, Colorado Life Initiative, Committee to Elect Christopher Say, Loveland Ward 3, Conservatives of Windsor and Severance, Constitution Week, Greeley Republican Women, Larimer County GOP, Larimer County Republican Women, Libertarian Party of Colorado. Matt Turner for Weld Sheriff, Moms for Liberty, Larimer County, Moms for Liberty, Weld County, Moms for Liberty, Protect Kids Colorado, Rocky Mountain Voice, Safe Families for Children, Truth and Liberty, Weld County GOP, Weld County Farm Bureau, and the Windsor Pachyderm Club. Thank you again for coming. This is such an exciting event.
Hi, it's Christy Burton Brown, your CD4 representative on the State Board of Education. Thanks for inviting me to present a little bit to you tonight. I wanted to give you an update on some of the things we're doing on the State Board of Education, and most importantly, how you can be involved in a key review that we're doing right now on science standards here in Colorado for all students across the state enrolled in any type of public school. So first of all, a little bit about the State Board of Education. Many people are familiar with the charter appeals that we hear if a local school district decides not to allow a charter school to operate or not to renew their contract. That charter school can appeal to the State Board of Education, where we can ask the local board to reconsider their decision, or in the end, if it comes to a second appeal, we actually get the final decision and can approve a charter that a local district might decline. That's one of our duties. Another one of our duties is related to accountability. When schools are low performing, they're called on the clock. And that means that kids are performing well below grade level at school. The CMAS tests aren't at acceptable levels. And so those schools actually have to present an accountability plan to the State Board of Education, which we can then approve or modify to get them back on track. As a reference point, across the state, on average, our kids can read and do math at grade level. Only about 40% of kids can do that who go to public schools. It's obviously way too low of a number, but we have some schools and districts that are actually well below that. So that puts them on the accountability clock. We also are a rulemaking body. And so when the legislature passes certain rules that deal with the Department of Education, we often have to create the rules that implement the law that the legislature has passed. So we don't pass law ourselves, but we do have to implement rules. And there's always a public hearing when that comes up. It might be rules related to special education or transportation or other issues involving education. Okay, so with that background on a little bit of what we do monthly at our meetings, we do meet in Denver 2 days a month, and we are opening it up to online public comment starting in August. So if you don't want to travel all the way down to Denver, you'd be able to sign up online and give a comment on something that we're addressing at our monthly meetings. But let's move to these science standards. Every 6 years on a rotating basis, the State Board of Education evaluates and sometimes reconfigures standards in a particular subject. So we do like reading and English standards, we do math standards, social studies. You probably heard about that. It was fairly recent. Right now, we're reevaluating science standards. And so before I got on the board in January, the former board decided to only reevaluate the part of the standards that deal with climate change, as they want to put it. And so right now, the suggested changes, I think, are quite unfair to the real situation of energy production here in Colorado. I don't think they're presenting the facts accurately. Right now, it specifically asks students to discuss how fossil fuels are damaging to the environment, with very little commentary on actually introducing students to the ways that renewable energy forms like solar panels and wind turbines can damage the environment. So it's not a fair presentation of the information to children, especially in a state that is a natural gas and oil producer. So I just don't think it's accurate information for our kids, and we shouldn't be telling them what to think about fossil fuels. We should be teaching them how to think and how to evaluate evidence on all forms of energy so they can decide what the best form of energy to use is, and they can actually have full facts, not an ideologically driven agenda from the climate change activists. So if you are interested in helping the state actually come to a good conclusion on these standards, I'd suggest that you fill out the survey that's due on June 30th. I did provide Trent with a link to it, so I'm sure he can share it with all of you. But also, if you do a Google search on comment on Colorado science standards, or I'm going to pull up exactly what the link says. It's Colorado Academic Standards Review and Revision. If you search that in Google, you'll certainly come up with the page, and just scroll down. You can click on the public survey. Please fill it out. Please give your commentary. We need to have more comments from people across the state so that our kids get a real education. Again, Thanks for listening to this presentation. Appreciate having the opportunity to share with you. Feel free to reach out to me for anything you need anytime, and thanks so much.
Hi, everyone. Sorry. Thank you so much for having me here. I am a terrible public speaker. I can tell you that right now. I do not enjoy it, but I'm here for the children. That's what I got to remind myself. So, and my daughter's just texting me. I don't know. So, anyways, so my name is Jasmine Navarro. It's with a Z. They got it wrong. Z. That's okay. And I am a state board member, Congressional District 8. I am actually currently the vice chair for the next 2 years, which is incredible that we have a Republican in that chair. It's great. Christy Burton Brown summed up a lot of the stuff I was going to say, so I don't want to be a biter. So I just want to let you know currently what my experience is on the state board. So far, so good. People are kind. They weren't so kind when I got nominated for the vice chair position, but hopefully that's water under the bridge for now. I know many of you have met me in the past. For those of you that don't know who I am, married to a Marine who retired in 22 after 21 years of faithful service. We will be married for 20 years. On Monday, actually. It goes by fast. I have a young daughter who is 9 years old, and she is the reason why I ran for the state board. First, I ran for the local school board, thanks to Mrs. Rumfeld down here. She convinced me, she conned me, I don't know. I went blindly in, following her. Obviously, we didn't win, but God obviously had something different in mind for me. So, now that I serve on the board, it is 5 Democrats to 4 Republicans. My seat was the only one that was flipped. Before it was 6 against 3. So that was really, really tough. We obviously, change of administration, there's a lot going on. And there's currently some, I know a lot of people are asking about federal money. Is it getting taken away? We will be finding that out soon. I cannot say just yet, but I want to say in the next week we will find out whether we're going to be getting any federal funding from the government. So one thing that bothers me about the state board, and just education in general in Colorado is, let me read you the mission of the state board, and I think this is really important. It says, the mission of the Colorado State Board of Education is to provide all Colorado's children equal access to quality, thorough, uniform, well-rounded educational opportunities in a safe and civil learning environment. Nowhere there does it talk about DEI. Nowhere there does it talk about boys and girls sports or in girl bathrooms. I can tell you this, I think it's really important, education obviously starts at home, and we need to make sure that our children are aware of, sadly, what is happening and what they need to do and how to advocate for themselves, because I sadly don't foresee it stopping anytime soon. It may be stopping on the federal level, but we need to be boots on the ground and make sure that we are putting a stop to all this stuff that's going on. And my main concern is that our third graders are not reading, writing, or doing math at grade level. And I speak from experience. Being in the classroom as of December of last year, most of my students were struggling just to do, basic math and basic reading. I think it's such a disservice, especially when we claim that that's what our goal is, and making sure everybody is, being taught correctly, being taught to be productive members of society. Thank you for the 1 minute, because I would have forgotten. So thank you so much for having me here. I will stick around for a little while afterwards if you want to chat, if you have any questions. I may not know all the answers. I'm still learning. I'm only 6 months in. And it's a lot to learn, So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting all of the candidates and everybody that's already representing Colorado in some way, shape, or form. And I just want to let you know that I will continue to fight, even when it's not popular, even when I get my butt kicked, because it happens a lot. But it's going to happen. And I really, really, truly believe that we will make the change. It's just going to take a little bit more time than we want it to take. But stick with it, because we will make it happen. So thank you so much.
Hey, this is Congressman Gabe Evans, your representative for Colorado's 8th District. The past 6 months, my first 6 months in Congress, have been extremely busy. I've been appointed to 2 committees, the Homeland Security Committee and the Energy and Commerce Committee. Energy and Commerce is considered one of the 4 most powerful committees in Washington, and this is actually the first time in 14 years that a freshman has been appointed to this committee. On Homeland Security, we've been working hard to secure the border. As the grandson of immigrants from Mexico, cleaning up and improving the immigration system is personal to me, along with making sure that we have a secure border and that we're crushing the cartels, the drug dealers, and the gangbangers who have made Colorado the second most dangerous state in the country, particularly under the Democrats' failed policies. On the Energy and Commerce Committee, I'm advocating for Colorado's energy industry. Giving Weld County a seat at the table in the national discussion around unleashing domestic energy is crucial to our local economy. I've also introduced 10 bills, including the Uplift Act, unhandcuffing police officers to locate and interdict foreign transgressors. This tackles Colorado's sanctuary state policies head on. As a former Denver metro area cop, I know that sanctuary state policies are the root of the fentanyl crisis and why international gangs like Tren de Aragua have deemed our state as their national headquarters. Making Colorado a safer place to live is one of my top priorities. In fact, I still wear my police boots every day, including in the halls of Congress, to remind myself why I came to Washington, D.C. Another bill I introduced is BELO's Act. That stands for Benefits That Endure for Lifetimes of Service. This was my first bill to pass the House, and it passed with bipartisan support. As an Army combat veteran, BELO's Act is personal to me because it's named after my friend and fellow soldier, Mark Belo, who passed away from service-related cancer last year. BELO's Act will provide free lifetime passes to national parks for the families of veterans who passed away from service-related illness. The House has also passed a once-in-a-generation piece of legislation called the One Big Beautiful Bill. This bill delivers resources to secure the border, invests in national security, unleashes domestic energy, strengthens Medicaid for the most vulnerable by cutting out fraud, waste, and abuse, removing illegal immigrants from the payroll, and allowing states to actually go and check to find those people who aren't even eligible for Medicaid, but that Joe Biden paid to stay home and receive taxpayer benefits. This One Big Beautiful Bill protects Coloradans from the largest tax increase in American history by extending the child tax credit to working families, by making sure that we don't have tax on tip or overtime, by extending the standard deduction, which impacts the bottom 85% of taxpayers in Colorado, and puts more than about $4,000 to $5,000 back in the pockets of everyday working families in Colorado on average. This is not, as the Democrats scream, a tax break for billionaires. This is aimed squarely at people that are making overtime, that are tipped workers, that are out working hard in our communities, and again, are trying to take care of their families. This is aimed at the bottom 85% of wage earners in Colorado. Republicans in Washington are cleaning up the border, crime, energy, and the inflation crisis that Democrats have caused, and I promise to always fight for Coloradans here in Congress. I'm dedicated to making Colorado a better place to live, work, and raise a family, and part of that is involving making sure that we rein in deficit spending. We know that Democrats have raised a storm saying that for the first time in a generation, they're concerned that the Big Beautiful Bill actually increases the deficit. That is false, because the Democrats have put as some of their basic assumptions into the analysis around the One Big Beautiful Bill some things that just aren't so. For instance, they've said that even though we're slashing red tape and taxes in the Big Beautiful Bill, the GDP, our economy, is only going to grow by 1.8%. That's never happened in history. If our economy continues to grow merely at the normal rate, the One Big Beautiful Bill is deficit neutral and actually cuts $1.5 trillion in mandatory spending. If our GDP is actually slightly better than average because of the cutting of red tape and taxes found in the Big Beautiful Bill, this bill actually ends up being deficit reducing for the first time in decades to the tune of over $1 trillion. And that's actually per some analysis from the White House and the Office of Management and Budget. So we're hard at work in Washington, D.C., making sure that we secure the border, that we make America and Colorado a safe place to live and work, that we rein in deficit spending, that we cut red tape, and that we deliver on all of the things that Republicans said we would bring back to the United States, that common sense that gives us a better place to live, work, and raise families. It's an honor to serve you in Congress. I'm looking forward to what lies ahead for our great state. Thank you. God bless you all. God bless Colorado, and God bless the United States of America.
Good evening, Northern Colorado. I am so sorry that I can't be there with you tonight for your first NoCo Legislative wrap-up event at Res Church, but I am in Washington, D.C. right now fighting for your values and your freedoms. It's been a tremendous first 6 months under President Trump, but the swamp monsters in Congress never rest, so I'm back here keeping them in line. It's an amazing time to be alive in the golden age of America. With President Trump leading our country back to greatness, we've driven our border crossings down to 0, effectively closing our border and allowing our ICE agents to carry out their mission of finding and deporting violent criminal aliens. President Trump has skillfully crafted better trade deals that put the American worker first, and we're seeing it impact our economy as prices and inflation continue to come down. With the House version of the One Big Beautiful Bill successfully passing, Colorado families avoid a giant tax increase pushed by Democrats, all the while instituting real reforms to programs like Medicaid so that your tax dollars don't go to people who aren't working for them, but people who actually need help with their health care instead of illegal aliens. And I'm proud to say that some of our big wins include Northern Colorado. Just in the past few months, I've worked with Representative Gabe Evans to advocate for removing harmful state barriers on our oil and gas industries right in Weld County, as introducing legislation to support our ranchers and farmers when it comes to protecting their investment and responsibly managing our water. My zip code bill, which includes the town of Severance, will get that community its own zip code after years of frustration with diminished tax revenues and challenges with first responder times. I've requested funding for projects in Severance and Walsh to improve their water infrastructure systems, as well as support to improve the Colorado and Crossroads Boulevard intersection in Windsor. I bet you'll agree that your tax dollars should be going towards fixing our roads, not building a pointless choo-choo train through the middle of our state. And speaking of things that shouldn't be in our state, that's right. My bill to delist the gray wolf from the endangered species list is continuing to move through Congress, and I am confident that President Trump will be signing it into law soon. I am so grateful to you for getting engaged with your local leaders and taking action in Northern Colorado. I know it can be frustrating to hear and see what progressives in Denver and Boulder are doing to our state, but know our state representatives and senators are working incredibly hard to push back against these insane policies, from taking our guns to pushing trans radical agenda on our children. Our Republican legislators are doing everything they can, and I know the Department of Justice is getting ready to give them some backup very soon. I was honored to stand on the steps of the Capitol with Congressman Gabe Evans, Sheriff Steve Reams, Senator Byron Pelton, and Representative Barone a few weeks ago in the face of insane protesters to make it clear. Republicans are not going anywhere in this state, and we are determined to take Colorado back. Thank you again for all of your prayers, all of your continued support, and I am going to press on and keep fighting for you in Congress. I look forward to being back in Northern Colorado very soon. It's much better than the swamp, and I hope you enjoy a wonderful evening, and I can't wait to see you. Thank you. God bless. Have a good night.
Sorry, you get to hear from me again. One more thing before I forget. I totally forgot to put in a plug. I really think it's important that you guys talk to Mrs. Rumfelt. We do need more candidates for our local board at Thompson School District. And I have to say, the local boards are so important. That's what's dictating our curriculums. That's what's doing a lot of this extra stuff that we don't want in our classrooms. That's where it's happening. It's at our local boards. My hands are tied on the state board, but on our local boards, they are not. So if you know of anyone that may be interested, even if it's a tiny little bit or a very angry parent, we need those. That's why I'm here. Go talk to Mrs. Rumfield. Mrs. Rumfield, raise her hand. There she is. We still need 2 more, and I cannot remember which areas they are. B and E, and she will check to make sure you live in that area, but we do need candidates, good candidates that are going to be conservatives, that are going to save our schools. So that's it, all right, thank you. All right.
All right, so now we're to the main event. I want to thank you guys again for being patient and getting through all of these wonderful speakers. I think they had a lot of important things to say. So first off, I want to introduce Nate Wiggins. He was the catalyst for this whole entire event. He was the one who he has the Better Nate Than Never podcast. You guys all signed up for it, right? You're on your YouTube right now? Right now? Okay, perfect. So if it wasn't for...
Come on.
So this guy was super important to get all of this going, and he's going to act as our interviewer and main host. Our second host, who was instrumental in putting this whole thing together, is Trent Lacey. Trent has 30 years of Weld County politics, so he's here to act as kind of the interpreter for Nate. That way, if there's anything he's not aware of, he is a young man. Trent's got more time in politics than I think he's been alive. So we wanted to bring him out to help with that. And with that, they're going to introduce all of our wonderful guests tonight.
All right, folks. We really appreciate you guys coming out to this. This has been incredible being up here and backstage watching you guys. We did not think there was going to be this many people show up, so we really appreciate you guys being here and being part of this. And really the whole point of this is we just want, 2026 is going to be a massive election year in Colorado. And we have every executive branch office up for election. We've got some amazing candidates in the race, as you heard from. You know, we have a very slim minority in the House and the Senate from becoming a super minority. And, you know, one of the things that I hear about a lot is, you know, this state's gone, this state's gone, this state's gone. How many of you guys hear that all the time? The state's gone. I still have a little hope that we can turn this around, and I think, you know, having you guys actively involved into this and being a part of this and walking out of this motivated to look forward to 26. We want you guys to hear from the state legislators themselves about what happened in 25, and then really look at what's going to happen in 26. And because what happens here, you know, we want to motivate you guys to go out and work with your county parties, work with your precinct leaders, your district captains, your elected officials, get involved, get involved, get involved. So, Nate, I'll turn it over to you if you have a few words, and then we'll have the folks come out.
For sure. Yeah, I just want to say I'm honored to be here. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. I want to say thank you to Trent Lisey. Did so much work. Thank you so much for doing that. And Keith Anderson as well. They did awesome. Cameron Groff, my podcast producer, we threw him a lot of curveballs, and we pulled it off. So I'm glad we got here today. So here's the thing. You guys are going to be inspired. You're going to be motivated. Everything's going to feel awesome, and you might go home and kind of forget everything you heard. But that's not going to happen, right? Because you're going to actually apply what you learned. Okay, that's kind of the key here. So all of this is great, feels good, but if you don't actually apply it, it's not going to be meaningful. So knock on doors. By the way, Dan Woog, he won his election by 3 votes, I believe was the number. Is that right? Wasn't it 3 votes? 110. Okay, but it was crazy close. So that's the difference. That one, it was still close. All right, geez Louise. But seriously, one good volunteer can make that difference in that election. So for anyone that's saying, oh, my vote doesn't matter, anything like that, it absolutely does matter. Your participation matters. Make the phone calls, knock on the doors, pass out the flyers, all that stuff. Yeah, let's get it rolling.
All right, let's get it rolling. Okay. Carlos Barone, he is a House representative for House District 48. Come on out, sir.
All right, next up from House District 50, we have Ryan Gonzalez.
All right, from Senate District 1, we have Senator Byron Pelton.
Awesome. District 51, we have Representative Ron Weinberg.
And he's back in the House for House District 19, Dan Woog.
It was more than 3 votes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disrespect you that way.
So if you guys ever watched Nate's podcast, the way he does things, the way he interviews folks, if you haven't, check out his podcast. I think he's interviewed all of you guys up here on the stage.
Byron and
not Ron. Yeah. Oh, not Byron yet?
Not everyone yet, but.
Okay, perfect.
He's coming on next.
Awesome. All right, Nate, you want to get it rolling with our first round here? We're going to go 4 rounds of 10, and in between, we've got a video of those who could not attend tonight because they are doing work outside of their district. So.
Yep. So you touched on this a minute ago, but I absolutely hate the attitude that, oh, Colorado's a blue state, we're never going to win it back. And like that hopeless attitude is just like demoralizing and it's dumb, and I don't really appreciate that very much. So I want to start off with some highlights here and just ask you guys what went well. So what were some of the wins and positive legislation we can be grateful for, if anything? If anyone wants to start us off.
Whoever wants to start, and then you guys
just jump
in from there.
Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. So there was a huge win for agriculture this last legislative session. In 2021, the Ag Worker Rights Bill came out where it really hurts private property owners in agriculture. It said that a key service provider could walk on somebody's property without permission to go in and give religious service to ag workers or to health care or anything else. That was passed in 2021. Well, we just ran a bill that said that no one can walk on anybody's private property without asking permission, and we got it passed with bipartisan support. There was a Supreme Court ruling that said that you cannot walk on somebody's private property to be a key service provider without, it's called a taking, and you owe money or you owe them money or compensation for walking on their private property. So we got that passed through the Senate and through the House, and the governor just signed it about 3 weeks ago. So it is law now that private property is protected.
We had a lot of
bad things happen in the session, but one of the good things was a win for energy. So we actually added nuclear energy to our portfolio. So now we are going to be able to start building small modular reactors, and it passed bipartisan support. Most of the Republicans were on board with nuclear, and that's important because in a state where we're trying to hurt oil and gas, the majority is, you can't just run off of wind and solar. It's not enough to supply the population of Colorado, so we need other alternatives. And so we got nuclear energy passed, and it was bipartisan after a couple times, but we got it through.
I honestly thought that Representative Gonzalez was going to take the Tabor resolution, but I'll go ahead and take it for you, buddy, since energy is my thing, and you took my thing. So as many of you know, I've been in the oil and gas industry for 23 years. I'm on the Energy Committee along with Representative Gonzalez and Representative Woog. Weld County is very strong on that. But the one thing that I am really proud of that we did this session is we actually killed the Tabor resolution off the calendar this year. They were trying to figure out if Tabor was unconstitutional to the state of Colorado. And that's ridiculous. It was a vote. 70% of the people voted for it. And it's what people want here in the state. And the Democrats really just want to take that Tabor away to get more money from you, the taxpayers, to fund their little pet projects and everything else that they want to do. So that's one thing that I was really proud of this year.
And folks, how serious this was. They were going to use taxpayer money to sue the taxpayers. That's how ridiculous that is.
So I got a bill passed that was, I have a big focus on public safety, and we have way too much crime in this state now, more than ever. And that was a big focus for me. So one of the bills that we got passed with bipartisan support was, it was for convicted juveniles, but these are kids that could be convicted of assault, rape, murder, everything. And as it stood, there weren't enough beds to place them in. A judge would have to decide which criminal he's going to put back on the streets. So there currently are young criminals out on the streets because of this problem. There weren't enough beds to use. We had emergency beds, but there was so much red tape, we couldn't use those beds. So the judge is just, okay, any, mini, miny, mo, I'm going to put this person back on the street, and this person comes in. So horrible system. So now we have, the DA can just make a decision, and we get to use those extra beds that were literally just available and not able to be used. So just one little bill that will help against crime, and I'm going to keep that a focus this next year. It seems what I have noticed as a legislator, we never agree on how to lower cost of living with the Democrats at the Capitol. But it seems like to me there's some wiggle room on public safety. I think a lot of people, even the Democrats down there, are realizing this is a serious concern. So that's going to be a focus for me, and it was nice to get that bill passed.
So one of the big things that I always focus on is just listening to what my district is saying. I have a very distinct honor of just representing one city as opposed to everybody else. I have one mayor, I have one city council, I have one school board member, I should say, out of everything else, Nancy Rumfeld. And I really try to focus on what people are dealing with in Loveland when they come to me with their problems. I think a lot of you remember Carlos Hernandez had his mother put in an aging home, and she ended up passing away, and that home ended up charging $4,000 in back pay of funding because she had done nothing other than pass away. So that bill actually made it through and got it through to write into state statute for the state of Colorado with everybody at the table, including landlords and renters, and I'm very proud of that one. And thanks to Carlos Hernandez on the third reading, I had the distinct honor of actually naming the bill after his mother, and it's now called the Letty Act for the state of Colorado. So that was the human side, and it was an honor to work with my constituent to pass such a bill.
All right, thank you guys. Yeah, so the nuclear thing that you brought up, that was like the thing that I wrote down. I was like, well, if they can't think of anything, at least we can at least we can appreciate that we have nuclear. And by the way, that position is so illogical. Like, imagine being a Democrat as an environmentalist and against nuclear. That's ridiculous. Like, what? How can you possibly be against nuclear? That is the cleanest, most powerful form of energy.
That's the smallest of the hypocrisy that we deal with.
Right. I mean, that's one. You're exactly right. No.
But it's fun to watch the left tear each other apart because there was a fight between the more moderates and the progressives. So it was fun to watch on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah, Democrat infighting is more fun to watch than Republican infighting, I'll say that. I wanted to say just one cool thing that happened. So this church, Res Church, actually promoted a fundraiser for a lawsuit. So I believe it was because of 1312, there was a camp, like a summer camp, a kids' summer camp, that they were forced to allow transgender campers in the same dorms as these other little girls. And you're just like, it's completely ridiculous. They actually, I believe, did they win that lawsuit? They at least got an exception for summer camps, so that's great. But anyway, that's just a cool thing that happened right here. We backed that, we funded it, and we supported that. So I was just honored to be a part of that. So
Yeah, that was amazing. So it's great being a part of this church. So I appreciate the church for allowing us to be here, but it was amazing that they were able to kick in and help with that cause to, it's unfortunate what we got going on today. It's really battling evil. Is that what you guys would say down at the state capitol? It's good versus evil is what we're facing today. And so I would just want to ask you guys, how do you work with evil? Like, what do you guys do when you go down there every day? You know you have to go down there. You know that you love your district. You're fighting hard. We're in the minority. What do you guys do to convince the other side, if that's even possible, to come to our side just a little bit?
I think for me, going in there and actually generally feeling the presence and just like the energy in that place, I always call out to him. I really do. God, it's another day. Please just protect me. Please look after me. Repel all the negative energy. Bring forth potential good ideas from good people. I don't know their intentions, but our God does. He knows our thoughts, our actions, what we're going to do, what we did, what will happen to us. And I think that's security enough for me to work with some people on the other side and just tell them, look, rely on him to open some doors for new opportunities, for legislation, for leadership, for outreach. And I think that's kind of what helped me also keep myself sane, because I saw, the consummation of the fighting going on the floor and everything, the stress that it does to some legislators. I told myself I wasn't going to do that. And so I always rely on him, and my family always prays for me and every day. And I think that's just part of what gets me through these negotiations.
I think the thing that we have the most and what I rely on is these folks that are sitting up here right now. I get to see them all the time. I mean, Ryan and I were texting until 11 o'clock at night because he was on the floor, and I was sitting in my nice warm house or at my dad's house, because I calve about 22 head of cattle at my dad's house in Strasburg, and I don't want my wife and kids to have to do it when I'm away, so I do it when I'm there at this legislative session. But I text with Ryan, and we have conversations. I talk to Carlos, I talk to Weinberg and Woog all the time. Ty Winter, we're really good friends. I sit in his office. The other thing that I have a strong relationship with is I was a former county commissioner, and I have to say that Weld County has some of the best county commissioners in the state of Colorado. And Scott James and I mean, he tells me all the time, he says, I don't know how you do it, man. I don't know. And I know the Republicans are in the power of the county commissioners because there's more of us than there are of them. So that makes me feel a lot better when I'm talking to my county commissioners, because they can get a lot of stuff done as county commissioners. So I have that core group that I have, and not to mention, but my wonderful wife who let me just tell you, my car was vandalized on the last day of session this year. They wrote a nice expletive. If you want to see it, it's the red Bronco out there on the hood. They wrote a nice expletive on my hood, and I'll never forget, because I was like, oh, that poor person that did that. I feel bad for him because he doesn't know what he did, because he was just maybe messed up. And if you walk around the Capitol, you'll see a lot of crime there. And my wife just went off. You work so hard for that. You've done so much. You give all this extra time to your constituents, and this is what happens. And I just got to tell you, I love my wife and kids so much, and they're just a great support system as well. So that's how I do it.
So I'm back for another term in a different seat. Served a different seat a few years back, but I learned over this time, and there are some good bills. I think generally there's way too many passed every year. I think that limits our freedoms in general. There's just a lot of bad bills, as we all know and probably agree on. But if we want to get something good passed, I have found, and I think all of us up here that had bills passed, you have to go find some common ground with another legislator on the other side. So when I get down there, I like to, you just try to get to meet people, and you try to understand, for instance, I was a former business owner, so there are a couple Democrats in the House that kind of lean towards pro-business policies. So if I'm working on that type of bill, I'm going to go talk to that legislator. Or, it depends on the issue, but you try and learn where there might be common ground. And there's not a lot. I mean, to me, at least on the bills I want to work on, I'm honest, but that's the only way to get things done. So try to treat them like a person, and then also battle them like hell when you need to. I mean, that's how we got to do it. Sometimes I don't want to work with them at all and just say no to everything. But when I do go out to events like this and I talk to people, I often ask that, if it's a good bill, do you want me working with Democrats? And the overwhelming answer is yes. So obviously that's what we're there to do. But yeah, it takes time and effort to get that rapport. But to get anything passed that's a good bill, you just have to do that.
It's a loaded question. My mentor was Mike Lynch when I first went in there, and I love that man a lot. So he kind of taught me to navigate when he was the minority leader on how the game is really played. And ladies and gentlemen, as much as you know this already, it is a game. And we have to go down there and play it every single day for 120 days, not including all the crap we have to deal with on the interim, being the minority party. But, if it wasn't for Lynch, I wouldn't have been able to have navigated. I hate that he's not down there. His replacement is amazing, but for me, it's the backbone is not only some of these people here. This is how Woog and I sit at the Capitol. We sit next to each other. Carlos sits in front of me. Ryan's my front right. And we're battle buddies, as Ryan and Gabe Evans called each other. But it's more the backbone of your emails, your love. When I walk in today and I haven't seen you guys, I hate, and I say this every time, I hate that we have to do events like this to see each other. But hugging you and saying high five and hearing your kind words and knowing everybody else is in the fight. I mean, my county party, Larimer County Party, Sandra Oste, I don't know where you are, but being the chairman of the party, Janice Fervers, Ryan Wilkin, those are the backbone and the volunteers, and I can't name all of you, and I could do that, but we'd be here all night. Those are really what keep me going, is the nice words. You see my heart on what I'm doing down there, and your hugs, your encouragement, your kind words, your prayers is what gets me through, and that's how I do it.
Let me just add to that really quick. It's absolutely true. There's probably not a day that goes by down there that I don't question. When we're in the minority as much as we are, what am I doing? Am I making a difference at all? So when I meet people that come talk to me and say, we just appreciate that you're speaking for us, those kind of things mean so much, because it is a battle and it's overwhelming. It feels like being in the ring with Mike Tyson in his prime, and you just get killed. But then you hear from people and you know it's the right thing. So as Rep. Weinberg said, we appreciate you guys.
So real quick, I know that Rep. Weinberg was speaking about Mike Lynch, and he's here today with us today. And he was one of the guys that he was one of the first guys that called me when I announced for my seat, and he gave me some words of encouragement. He was the minority leader at the time, and yes, it's 100% true. The backing that we have it with each other is what gets us through every day, those 120 days. We have each other's back, and we protect each other. We talk to each other if we're messing up ourselves. We take each other aside and we talk about it, and that's what really gets us through those days. As for working with evil, you can't really work with evil, but like Representative Woog said, you got to go in there and get a feel of what these Democrats are really thinking. Just feel what they're thinking, what their expertise is, and try to attack that side right there. if they're a little business savvy, we can work with them on business issues. But other than that, it's really really hard to get through to them. But day by day, the other thing that I want to do, that I say is, like Senator Pelton said, my family, my constituents, the future of this state is what really gets me through it and really gives me power to continue doing it. And I'm honored. I really am honored to represent the 88,000 souls in District 48. And I get asked a lot, like, do you like it down there? Like is a loaded question. It's a very loaded question. I don't like it. I'm honored, and that's my answer. Is that I am honored to be there, but and I don't want to bring what I feel down there to my constituents, to my family. So when I get home, I leave it all behind. I don't speak to them about what went on during the day unless my wife asks me. But other than that, I leave it over there because I don't want anybody else to feel what we feel down there during those 120 days. And it's our cross to bear, and I'll gladly do it, and I'll keep doing it.
And God bless Mike Lynch. Thank you for being here, and you were a big inspiration to all of us, so thank you.
So since everybody keeps talking about Mike Lynch, Mike, will you stand up so we can all thank you for your service? All right, we are going to go on and hear from Senator Scott Bright, who provided us with a video, who is down in Florida at a conference, I guess, down there or something, doing his job. So we'll hear from him next.
Colorado, I'm State Senator Scott Bright, coming to you from a conference where I'm learning to be a more effective legislator, as well as assist campaign efforts to regain lost seats at the Capitol. It's an honor and a privilege to serve Adams and Weld counties in the Colorado General Assembly, representing Senate District 13. Throughout the 2025 Colorado legislative session, I've worked tirelessly to protect our small businesses, lower the cost of living, and ensure our children have the opportunities they deserve. We didn't win every fight, but every step forward and every setback strengthened our resolve to build a stronger and more affordable Colorado. This year, we faced a stark reality. Colorado's rising cost of living is squeezing families and threatening the vitality of our small businesses. From soaring housing prices to burdensome transportation fees, too many Coloradoans are struggling to keep up. That's why I introduced a bill to reduce transportation costs imposed by the government. This practical solution would have rolled back costly transportation fees that hit hardworking families at the pump. It aimed to save households an estimated $440 annually, real relief for parents juggling grocery bills, childcare, and fuel costs. Unfortunately, the majority blocked this bill, prioritizing bureaucratic spending over your budget. While this loss stings, it's not the end of the fight. I remain committed to common sense policies that put money back in your pocket, and I'll introduce affordability measures next session to ease the burden on Colorado families. Education was at the cornerstone of our efforts this year. Our kids are Colorado's future, and we can't let them fall through the cracks. I was a proud sponsor of the School Finance Act, which boosted per pupil funding and introduced a student-focused funding formula that prioritized outcomes over politics, ensuring resources reached the classroom. I also sponsored the Dyslexia Screening and Read Act, which empowers early elementary success by identifying struggling readers, particularly those with dyslexia, and providing targeted support. This bill ensures every child has the tools to read, learn, and thrive, a victory for our students and their families. Housing affordability remains one of Colorado's most pressing challenges. With median home prices in northern Colorado exceeding $500,000, first-time buyers and young families are being priced out of the market. That's why I sponsored the Colorado Multifamily Construction Incentive Program, a step toward increasing affordable housing options for working families. This bill, signed by Governor Polis, addresses construction defect challenges that have stifled condominium and townhome development. This is a win for our communities, paving the way for more homes that Coloradoans can afford. Healthcare costs are another burden hitting families and businesses hard. I proudly supported reducing costs of healthcare for patients, which aim to lower out-of-pocket costs for low-income patients. Despite passing both chambers, this legislation failed in the final days of session due to disagreements over amendments. This setback is frustrating, but it underscores the power of the entrenched interests we're up against. I'll keep fighting for healthcare reforms that prioritize patients over profits, because no Coloradoan should have to choose between medicine and groceries. Small businesses are the backbone of Colorado's economy, and I've fought tirelessly to shield them from overregulation and soaring costs. From coffee shop owners in Brighton to manufacturers in Greeley, entrepreneurs have shared how challenging it is to navigate bureaucratic red tape while keeping prices affordable for their customers. I'm committed to empowering small businesses to thrive, which is why I was proud to sponsor a bill adding nuclear energy as a clean energy resource. This legislation drives innovation, creates jobs, and secures affordable energy, helping small businesses keep costs low and operations sustainable while strengthening our communities. Reflecting on this session, I'm reminded why I ran for office, to fight for you. Northern Colorado is a place of resilience where ranchers rise before dawn, teachers inspire the next generation, and neighbors help neighbors. But we're at a crossroads. If we don't tackle affordability, protect our businesses, and invest in our kids, we risk losing what makes this place so special. Your voices shape my work in Denver, and if you have any questions, concerns, or if there's anything else I should know about how to better serve you or our community, please feel free to reach out anytime. Let's keep fighting for a future where families thrive, businesses grow, and every kid has a shot at the American dream. Thank you for trusting me to serve as your senator. Together, we'll build a Colorado that we're proud to call home.
All right, so we started out on a high note. Now we get to the...
Let me say one thing with
What's up? Go for it.
So much better than Kevin Priola. Right there. Thank God. Thank you, SD 13, because that is so much better than Kevin Priola.
That's my state senator.
All right. So we got to start on a good note, so that's good. Now we get to dunk on the Democrats for a little bit. So started off by saying, in what ways have Democrats harmed Colorado citizens through legislation, and what can be done to fight against it in this last session?
This is really easy.
Where do we start?
It's a complete assault on a regular basis on every constitutional right we have. It's a complete assault on everything our children. I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old in a charter school. Thank God my charter school is on the up and up, I'll tell you on that. They are chipping away at every freedom, and they don't just do it with one bill, they do it with multiple bills. And they start in one area, and then they just keep expanding over and over and over. Every year, they just expand on their bills. It's insane. There is an agenda behind this. This 1312, which was absolutely horrendous, which, mind you, I don't know how it's enforceable in the majority of the state, which is 99% of all the bills they put through, but it's a chip away and it's an infringement of our rights on a regular basis. And I'll tell you right now, thank God to some of these outside entities. Protect Colorado was here today, Rocky Mountain gun owners with the gun stuff. I'm telling you right now, if we didn't have those outside entities literally making these lawsuits happen, we'd be high and dry. So you need to pay attention to what's going on down there. Everything that's happening, every bill that passes, the 500 bills on average every single year that pass through January through May, that 120-day time is just a chip away at every single one of our rights.
So I just want to add to that. So much of the legislation that comes through is regulation on businesses, and that's a big reason Colorado is one of the highest cost of living states. When our businesses get regulated, whoever's a business owner, we have to raise our costs, and obviously we all pay for it. So that's inflation right there. Our state government is creating inflation across the board. That is a huge reason why it is so expensive to live here. So many businesses I can't speak to one. There's so many that we battle for that just laws come up every single year that are hurting them, making it more difficult to do business, making it way more costly to do business with unnecessary, especially ridiculous environmental goals and other things. But it really hurts, and it hurts all of us. So yeah, the assault is all session long, and it's funny because a neighbor of mine back in the day, a few years back, called me a fascist, and I don't think he knew what that meant. That's actually what we have here, where the government is making so many laws, so many regulations on business that they're essentially telling the business what to do. They're controlling the business. That's fascism. So it's kind of ironic and funny, I think, that I was called a fascist. But anyway, that's where we're getting to. But on a positive note, you know what? I just heard on the radio the other day, I listen to talk radio all the time, this host said, the Democrats in general in this country right now are on their heels. We know Colorado's a mess. We know it's bad, but let's go forward on that positive note that they are on their heels right now. Their party's a mess. They're still using the same playbook. They're going way far left on everything. And I think we can use that to our advantage. So I want to at least end that statement on a positive note.
I will say, we saw attacks on small businesses, hurting with regulations. Landlords, a lot of anti-landlord bills coming through. I can't tell you how many landlords, 19 anti-landlord bills this session, where I've had landlords in my district and all over Weld say, we're done. I've had a lot, when it comes to energy, anti-oil and gas policies, a lot of the people that I know that we know that work in oil and gas, they say, is this the law that's going to put me out of a job? Parental choice, we're seeing them coming after parental choice and rights. Consumer choice when it comes to what we can and can't do with ourselves. And Tabor, it's our taxpayer bill of rights. The mess that we're in with this last budget issue where we had to cut over $1 billion, they did it on purpose. They knew earlier, months ago, that we were in this mess, that we were forecasted to be in a deficit. But they still did it anyway, because they're going to go back to the voters and say, because of our taxpayer bill of rights, we're in this mess. We need to get rid of the taxpayer bill of rights so we don't have to be in a deficit, so we can fund things that we want. There's an Office of Gun Violence Prevention, an Office of New Americans, an Office of Environmental Justice, an Office of Saving People Money on Health Care, which we all pay the Lieutenant Governor an extra salary to run that office. So we're expanding government at the expense of healthcare, our education, our infrastructure, shell games. They pulled $4 million out of our Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act to give to the Attorney General's office so they can sue the governor's office so they can sue the administration when it comes to federal funding, which accounts for 1/3 of our overall state budget. They are risking our federal dollars. They're intentionally poking the bear because they don't like this administration at the expense of Coloradans and taxpayers, and that's just wrong.
So, the Democrats do a lot of things wrong. They do a lot of things bad for the state and everything. But the one thing that I got to say is that what they like to do is they're smooth talkers. They talk about what they're doing, how good intentions it are. These bills are, we're going to help people, this and that. But their bills are actually doing the exact opposite of what they are talking about. But they portray it to their constituents so well that they believe them. The thing is, their constituents don't hear the other side because of their TDS. Their Trump deranged syndrome doesn't allow them to listen to the Republican side of what the bills are actually doing, or they just simply don't believe us. That's the problem. They think they're saving people money or lowering the cost of living when actually it's actually costing more. And these regulations is something that I've been talking about a lot at the well, is that this is not doing what you're intending to do. It's actually going to do the exact opposite. And then it's just ridiculous the way that their followers, their constituents, actually believe what they're saying. They go up there and they lie. And when we go up there and try to tell them exactly what their bill is doing, it's like they don't care. They really don't care because their constituents believe them. They're getting the positive feedback from what they're doing, and they just don't care. It's just ridiculous that these Democrats can get away with this stuff, and they just don't hear the other side. These people don't want to hear the other side. They don't believe us. For one thing is, I don't know if a lot of you know that this state has a budget of $544 million for illegal immigration help. That's a lot of your tax money, and that's just this year. Oh, this year. 94 million to Medicaid for illegal immigrants. I tried to take out 34 million of that 94 million to go to K through 12. Got voted down during the long bill. We tried to do that over and over and over again during the long bill. Still got voted down. A lot of people don't realize what really is happening. And they make it hard enough to find that information so people don't know what they're doing. But it's our job to let everybody know. That's what's happening. $544 million of your taxpayer money for illegal immigration services. I know they're saying, oh, we have to help these people. Of course, I'm not against helping people, but we have to help ourselves first. We're struggling. People in the state are struggling. How are we going to spend their taxpayer money on somebody that hasn't paid into the system? There will be time to help them. Right now is not the time.
First thing yes. First thing we got to do is we got to send the Democrats back to school and learn how to spell taxes, and it's not F-E-E, fee.
I was just going to bring that up next.
That is the first thing we need to do, because that's all they do is they get around Tabor every chance that they get and place fees on folks. I'm going to talk about wolves. Our governor and his animal rights activist husband have made sure that they politicized a reintroduction of wolves. They have overstepped their bounds every step of the way on the CPW commission to make sure to politicize it. They're not talking about science. That's all we hear from our Democrat colleagues. Stick with the science. They want to lecture us on climate change. They want to lecture us on guns and look at the scientific studies. But they don't want to listen to science when it comes to reintroduction of wolves. You remember when lynx was reintroduced, when we reintroduced lynx back in the 90s, I was in high school, and they came here from Canada and they all starved to death. We called it Operation Skinny Kitty. That's what's going on. They put known depredating wolves on livestock in our communities. And right now, they're up in Pitkin County. I mean, Pitkin County did vote for reintroduction of wolves, and they're not against having the wolves. They just didn't, they were lied to. Promises were broken to these folks. And when I met with the governor to have a discussion about how he wants to lecture us about disagreeing better, when his husband is trashing one of my constituents who is a reporter on Facebook, and I told him, I said, you can't lecture us on disagreeing better when your husband is trashing one of my constituents on Facebook because she wrote an article that called you out on something. And then when I met with him and he says, well, Senator Pelton, you live in the northeast corner. You don't have to worry about wolves. I said, those cattle end up in our feedlots. This is an economic problem that you've created for us. That is what the Democrats do. They have put a known animal activist in the governor's office to make sure that we have to struggle. Agriculture is on the chopping block. They want to come after us for landfills now. I'm pointing at my commissioner of Weld County, because they're starting to hear about the methane, the 1% of the methane that is created by all the landfills in Colorado, and now they want to go after it because it's hurting. 1%. That's what they want to come after, is 1%. They want to come after cattle and stop grazing permits and put solar panels up because of the cow farts. So animal activism is what we're dealing with right now in the governor's office, and it's not getting any better.
What an amazing fight. And to think that I wanted to be one of those guys, no way. You guys can have it, okay? So it's all yours. We're going to go ahead and hear from Lori Garcia-Sanders, who represents House District 65.
Hi everyone, Representative Lori Garcia-Sander here, representative for House District 65, and welcome to House District 65, home of Res Church and our event hosts and sponsors. Thank you to them for bringing everyone together for an evening of information and inspiration, hopefully. And hope you enjoy the evening. Sorry I can't be there with you tonight. I had a previous family commitment, but I hope to connect with each of you soon. You're going to hear tonight legislative wrap-ups, the good, the bad, the ugly, and actually maybe a few positives that we were able to get through the state legislature. And so I don't want to spend my time talking with you tonight about that, but what I do want to do is give you an important message. We are looking at school board, town board, and city council races coming up. This is the time that you need to take this inspiration of what you hear tonight about what the Democrats have done and are doing in our state. Take this information, share it with your friends and neighbors, figure out who's inspired, maybe it's you. Figure out who's inspired to run for some of these boards and start filling the seats. We really do need to build our bench. In the state legislature, we are still outnumbered 2-1. We have a little bit more voice than we did in the prior sessions, but we are still outnumbered, and we are still getting steamrolled by the Democrats, no matter how much, no matter how hard we argue our side. So please, please, look for those people in your community. Again, maybe it's you. Start looking at who can fill the town board seats, who can fill the city council seats, who can fill the school board seats, who has a winning message that can put us over the edge and start pushing back on the Democrat agenda. This is real grassroots work. This means that you show up at those town hall meetings, you show up at those school board meetings, learn what they're talking about, and be able to counter with the conservative perspective. This is the time that we need to be doing that. I hope that what you hear tonight inspires you to become more involved than you already are. Obviously, you're here, but at every next meeting that you go to, next town board meeting, next town hall that you hear about with a legislator or one of our commissioners, please bring a friend. Reach out to your social media network. Please make sure that people are showing up. The Democrats are doing this. They've got their ground game, and we need to do better, and that starts with things like tonight, getting engaged, getting involved, getting the information to take out to others and spread the word that we really need to continue holding the seats that we have in the legislature, the ones that we won last year, but also adding more seats next year. And we get there by adding to our town council, our city council, our school board, and making sure that we have candidates that are going to move up and move into the state legislature seats. So I hope that you're inspired. I appreciate your activism and your involvement. I ask for you to bring others aboard and make sure that we fill those seats that are coming up, and make sure you get involved in our parades and our events that legislators have this summer and into the fall and going into next session. We appreciate all of your support, and thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the evening. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns, especially if you're one of our House District 65 residents. I look forward to talking with you soon. Thanks, have a great evening.
So I'm not a bike guy, but can anybody tell me what bike that was in the video there? So, no, I appreciate all the ones that couldn't be here, and you know, they were gracious enough to send in a video for us. So I can't thank them enough for doing what they could to be a part of this. Ron, I want to touch on something you brought up, because as we know, our children are under attack, and they're under attack, and it puzzles me why we as human beings can't come together and say that our children should be left alone. They should be off limits. And, you know, Juliana's in a charter school, thank goodness. And one of the bills that was introduced and late in the session, I believe it was SB 283, I think it was, but it was attack on charter schools. And it would have, if it passed and signed into law, would have forced charter schools to open the door to any nonprofit organization. And so we're now seeing them go after charter schools. What can you guys do in 26? Because that bill, I would imagine, is going to come back forward again in some form or fashion. And, that bill would have, you get Splash, everybody knows who Splash is. They come in and indoctrinate your children, and they will be able to go into these charter schools, and by law they can. And then brainwash these children, and that's what they want to do. So how do we in 26, what do we do now to start tackling that so that we're prepared on day one of the new session in 26, that, there is an army of people at the door waiting to attack these?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So if you don't know who Ready Colorado is, you need to look them up when you get home tonight. It comes back to these Protect Kids, Ready Colorado organizations that are out there literally in the trenches fighting the good fight in every single way. So get informed with what you can do for your schools itself. The other thing you can do is show up to your school board meetings. We have one Republican conservative on our school board in Thompson, and she needs help. We're struggling every year. She's struggling every year to find candidates to sit in the fight with her. She sits there. She takes it from all the other members that are sitting on the school board. That's how you start, and that's how you get involved. When Representative Garcia Sander was talking about showing up and knowing what the issues are on your boards, that's the one thing that hits home the most is the school board. That's the future of this country. That's the future of this state. That's the future of your cities. That's the future. And if they start attacking there aggressively as they are now, which, mind you, that bill has come back every single year. Tammy Story, who I don't know how she beat Colin Larson, but they're going to run that bill every single time. And it is a rarity for me to say anything good about Jared Polis. But the one thing he does right is charter schools. He does it right. He vetoes the bill every single time, and he is a complete advocate for charter schools. So for me, local, I don't know how many people are from Loveland. Raise your hand if you're from Loveland. Dang, I thought we'd have more from Loveland over here. I can leave now. No, you've got to pay attention to your local Thompson School Board and everybody else. Pooter as well, up in Fort Collins. Greeley, I don't know Greeley very much. There's none what?
What about Rob Norwood?
Wow. Oh, so there's one. So, but yeah, I would pay attention, and also public comment down at the State House. It's not only the locals that need your help, it's us, and they've made it so easy. They've put Zoom on everything. You don't even have to come down to that State House Capitol anymore. You don't have to come to our chambers. You could just support us while we're sitting in committees, literally getting lambasted while they're throwing us all under the bus. The biggest root core problem, that's what people don't realize, is that the people that are running these bills and that are doing this stuff to our children don't have children. That's what really shocks me, being a father of two with my wife, and that's what at the core is that there is no relative to the bills that they're running. It's not relative to them. So they're going after us aggressively, and the best way you do it is you take our children. And out of my cold dead hands is one of the things. My kids are even worse than that. There's no ways you can take my kids.
Yeah, I think just adding to this theme that people need to be involved in, not a testament to me, but my district, Kamala Harris won it by 8.6%. And I won, and that was with a lot of help and a lot of focus. But I think we need that attitude. It's super easy to get overwhelmed in Colorado and think, it's blue, we're done. It seems like we just can't win. It's just not true. So that belief, and I truly think for every seat we should have a Republican running, or more than one Republican. There are seats, even in the legislature, that there's no Republican running. My belief is there should always be. We should be fighters. We should show that. We should show that we're not afraid to fight. We're going to be there. We don't care the numbers. And like I said, there are some seats we can win with the right message and the right people helping and the right focus. So that carries on to this as well.
I'll just say real quick on that charter school bill, that's extremely concerning to me. I have 3 young children of my own, especially if that were to complement the 1312 that just passed, because then charter schools aren't even safe. So you hope as a parent, at least I can put them in charter school, keep them out of the public brainwashing school. Well, yeah, that would be terrible if that wasn't even an option as well. And by the way, the 1312 thing, like, they're actually they're compelling you to lie to your children and to tell them something that isn't true. That the state is actually getting involved in your family and forcing you to lie to your children if it came to that. So anyway, that's a concern of mine. So
Well,
let's not let that one pass.
The nice thing about living in rural Colorado is we know the difference between a male and a female. You just look underneath it. So that's the nice thing. We don't deal with that stuff where I live. And here's the thing, just like you said, teach your kids. You know, when my kids would come home, and I have a daughter who plays volleyball, plays varsity volleyball, plays varsity basketball. And I asked her one day, because she was asking me about this whole situation, and I asked her one day, I said, do you think we should take away girls' sports and just let everybody just have a free-for-all? And she goes, well, no, Dad, then we'd never get to play. I said, exactly. That's what they're asking for. That's what they're asking for right here. You want somebody my size to play against you, and my daughter is just a little tiny little girl. And she goes, yeah, Dad, I don't agree with any of that. I said, none of us do. But I said, here's the deal. They're trying to shove it down our throats. So always be resilient. And you always say, listen, you can't milk a bull. It just doesn't happen, you know? The one thing I always tell my kids, as I said, you know why eggs were so expensive during this time at the beginning of the legislative session, is that the policies that are coming out of the Colorado legislature were so woke that the hens thought they were roosters. So that's why. So, this is beyond ridiculous. When you have to sit through those committee meetings and you listen to that, and they just point right at you because they know you're going to vote no, because they already know how you're going to vote. And I have to tell you that several times I got berated by people because I was either looking down on my phone or I was looking at my iPad answering an email while I was listening to them. And I just plainly said, I can do two things at once. I can listen to your ridiculousness and we'll read this thing. So, it just gets really ridiculous about it. My heart goes out to those parents that maybe have some kids that are confused and they need some help and that sort of thing. I really do feel for them, and we should never forget about those folks. But still, to have a man trying to play in a woman's sport is not okay. Not okay. It's never okay.
And real fast, I just want to commend Representative Bottoms and people like him and DeGraff and Luck who actually were up there on the well speaking truth. But it falls on deaf ears. But when you speak truth, you're on the right side. And so they were sticking it up. They were our warriors. Weinberg was up there too. Like we all were in a sense. But when it came to those most contentious ones, people like Bottoms up there speaking truth. That gives me hope in our caucus and in the Republican Party.
I'd like to say also a thank you to Representative Bonos for going up and talking so much, because then I don't have to sit right next to him.
Okay, so real quick, I just wanted to address some of the Republican infighting. There's been a little bit of that in 2025, and I know the state and Weld County GOP had a little fiasco there, and Rocky Mountain gun owners came after Ryan Armagost. I'm not saying I'm picking one side or the other. I'm just pointing out that there has been infighting. So how can we set aside our differences and unify as a party without abandoning our core principles?
We have. We've already done it. We've gotten through this, and we've gotten over it. People misunderstand, and we all know this in this room. The Republican Party is the large 10 party. We're the big 10 party. We're allowed to have differences. And we forget that. We don't all have the same principles, but we all have the same conservative values. And that's what people misunderstand. And everything that's happened down at the State House, anything that's occurred we've gotten over it. We're gonna fight. We're gonna have different ideas. We had bills that Republicans didn't agree with Republicans. How we should start acting is not attacking each other on the floor, letting the Dems use us as meat and ammunition. So I would say, with everything that we've been through, we've actually come through more positive than negative. And that we're doing a damn good job, that we're allowed to disagree with each other, have those disagreements, have those arguments, and move on. And that's what everyone else needs to do. the Big Ten party for a reason. We all need to be proud to be conservative Republicans. And when you come back to that table, because we're the only ones actually fighting the fight down there, while all these button pushes is what I call is vote yes, yes, yes on every agenda that they play through.
I totally agree with that because, I mean, listen, the five of us have had our arguments. And, yeah, thanks, Ryan. The five of us have had our arguments on bills. We have. I hate your bill, let's sit down. But like I always tell my colleagues that are sitting up here, I need them more sitting in the chamber than I need them to vote yes on my bill. Correct. That's what I tell them all the time. Because I need more Republicans than what that bill says. And that's what I always tell them. So please, when you're voting on my bill and you don't agree with it, I need you to sit in that chamber and be able to hold that seat and be honest with your constituents before you, and don't worry. Hopefully my bill will pass. If it doesn't pass. It's just one of those things. But I need more Republicans than I need that bill to pass. So that's what I need. And so our fighting, we get along. We do get along. If you guys could have seen us back in the green room, we were having a really good time and mostly making fun of Ron to ask if he was going to be able to sit in the chair. So, but yeah. But anyway, we were just having a good time back there because we get along really well. But during the legislative session, it gets very, very, very contentious at times. And we need each other more than we need our bills to pass most of the time. So we get along pretty well. And we stop the infighting pretty quickly, especially up there in the session.
Yeah, I was going to say, heated debates are good and they're good for our party. And my mindset is that stays behind closed doors and we go out there unified. And if we don't agree, then maybe I'll just sit and keep my mouth shut. The reality is this state it varies a lot, and there are districts that, and we can disagree or agree on this, but there's going to be Republicans voting a little differently on certain things. But I agree with Senator Powell. I want more Republicans in those seats, personally. The bills that I feel are the biggest, and probably a lot of us, it seems that we vote the same on. That happens. There's others that maybe we don't, but we need Republicans in those seats. So I believe it frustrates me that sometimes things become public. I think it's better for our party to talk in person, talk behind closed doors, and then try to come out unified. The reality is the Democrat Party right now, even in this state, they are fighting a lot. The House Democrats fight a lot. We sometimes go to meetings with them. I just went to Boulder County, that's part of my district actually, and met with the Boulder County commissioners and the legislators from Boulder County, and there were a lot of arguments in there. And I was sitting back. No, I couldn't believe it. I thought they were going to be attacking me, and I was just sitting back watching them argue over the budget and blaming each other. And I thought this was very funny because they created this mess of the budget. So, but anyway, that's just know that they fight too, and they're fighting a lot now. And like I said before, I think we have an opportunity right now, and even though our state still maybe leans blue, we have an opportunity because their party's in disarray, and it just looks like they don't know where they're going right now, and they don't have good leadership. So I think there's some positives ahead for us.
Fe, familia, y patria. Faith, family, and country. That's the core values of the Republican Party. It's the core values of how I was raised as a Mexican immigrant. And that's why I became a Republican. As long as we get to those three values, everything else doesn't matter. We could have disagreements, like all my colleagues here said, but we always go back to those three core values of the Republican Party. And that's what's important to me. I don't care if we have a little infight here on a certain bill or a certain issue. As long as I have my Republican colleagues with me, I forget about it. I really do. I've had conversations with some of my colleagues about some of their bills aside, out of the public eye, out of the House floor. And we have good conversations. We don't always come to an agreement on it, but when we leave that room, we're back in faith, family, and country. And that's what we should be doing. And that's what we are doing. And that's what we're going to continue to do. And that's what I'm going to continue to do.
I will say, we are the Big Ten party. We just don't make a big deal about it. Now, the example I always point to is Condoleezza Rice. When she was the first black woman Secretary of State, did you see us touting and praying identity politics? We don't do that, but the left does. But, you know, Republicans are very independent thinkers where, you know, like individualism, we're not, you know, what's groupthink. We don't do that. So, of course, we're going to clash. But just because you agree with you don't agree with 20% of what that person believes in does not make that other 80% your enemy. And I am so tired of the name calling, of the rhino bashing, of everything. I'm tired of it. It doesn't make us look good to the voters when we're trying to pick up those people in the middle. How would the independent voters, those swing voters, look at us? You see it on Facebook. Oh, he's a rhino, they're a rhino. You also see it in last election cycle. Of the 6 seats that were flipped from D to R, 5 of them were in Weld County. But we get called Rhino County. We get called Rhino County. But that's because we stuck together, we worked together, we had our disagreements. But like what was echoed here, we don't make it public. It's okay to have those disagreements, but have it behind closed doors. Because at the end of the day, even the weakest among us is better than the best of those Democrats. That's what we have to understand. That's why we have to get behind our candidates. And if you don't believe me, look at 2022. When their candidates, when people said, oh, well, my candidate didn't make it past the primary, they stayed home. And what happened? We lost seats. That is what happens when we stay home, when we fight against each other, when they don't take us seriously. We want to win the people in the middle. We don't have to compromise our principles and our values. We just have to speak the right message, the right policies, and a lot of them are fiscal issues. That's what we need to do, but we have to stick together because Democrats do that. I give Democrats credit for 2 things. They stick together, and they got a plan for everything. Everything, no matter how stupid or silly it is, they have a plan for everything. Us on the other side, we can work on that. But I think if we're more united, like here in Weld, we did this last election cycle, we helped each other on the primaries, those who had generals, curing ballots, what you needed with this, getting some donors, making phone calls. We all helped each other out. That's what happens when you work together and you stick together. We win.
Awesome. That is exactly correct.
I want to know why Ryan looked at me when he said weakest among us.
You're the strongest one up there. All right, next we're going to hear back-to-back from Representative Dusty Johnson, House District 63, and then followed by Barb Kirkmeyer from Senate District 23, and I promise you guys we're almost done.
Hi, my name is Dusty Johnson, and I am proud to serve and work for the good people of House District 63, which covers Northeast Colorado. This includes the counties of Logan, Morgan, Phillips, Sedgwick, Washington, Yuma, and most of Weld County. Proud to say I have the 2nd largest House district in terms of square miles, but that means we need a lot more population, a lot more livestock, and a lot more crops to cover that ground to make up the population coverage that a lot of our urban metro districts have. Proud to say I have about 89,000 that I work for, and that's the same for every House member. They have roughly about 89,000 people that they are accountable to. And that was one of my biggest things in the state this session, was to bridge that urban-rural divide and make sure that we are having a strong voice heard for the resources that we need and deserve out here. We might not have the populations that our urban cousins have, but we have the same needs. And in fact, we're the ones driving the economic prosperity here in the state, especially when it comes to agriculture. Ag is the 2nd largest economic driver in Colorado at $47 billion. And yet we don't see a lot of those monies in return for our roads, for our health care, for our children. And I don't know about you all, but I was tired of it. And I wanted to make sure we had a strong voice, which is why I helped lead the efforts. And I'm honored to say to be a co-chair on the newly formed Rural Caucus that has 18 members standing strong together in both chambers to make sure that rural Colorado has a stronghold, and it's not just the urban metro area telling us what to do. The second was, and you've noticed I keep saying I work for, I'm accountable to, because the best way that I'm able to represent the people is by representing the voices of all 7 of my counties back at the Gold Dome to make sure they're being heard. Not dictating what they're telling, what they have to do. I don't want to put any unfunded mandates. I don't want big government coming in and saying that we're the ones here to help. No, I want to be the collective voice of everyone that is so good at doing what they're doing. First responders, teachers, mechanics, nurses, you name it. They are so good and busy at what they're doing that they don't have time to come to the table for policy, let alone sometimes to be with their family to eat. And that's my job, to represent their voices in House District 63 down at the well in the House of Representatives here in Colorado. I was blessed to sit on 3 committees where I got to help even stronger push this voice for House District 63. Those committees were the House Ag, Water, and Natural Resources, the Health and Human Services, and then the Education Committee. All of which I made sure we had that rural focus on to make sure that we aren't doing a one-size-fits-all. We're not having the state tell everybody what they need to do. I trust my local government elected officials. I trust the people to know what's best for them in their wallet. And this is why when we are looking at measures, I don't want to tell them how to do it. My farmers and ranchers are the best stewards of the land. Our families, our business folks are the best at putting money in their wallets. Government shouldn't be coming and taking that out. So those are my main focuses. I will continue to push for it. Yes, I'm conservative. I do have rural values and I'm a freedom fighter, but really I marketed it as cows, cops, and coffee. Cows were all of rural Colorado, all of agriculture, water. Cops were all of our first responders, our military, our constitution, making sure we're looking up for public safety, and coffee. I'm on the road a lot, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there this evening as I'm looking at water on the western slope so we can get our voice heard from the eastern plains. But I want to be where the people are. I want to share a coffee with you. I want to share a meal with you, and I want to be easy to get a hold of. So my cell phone is 970-370-1154. And in case you missed it, you can go to my website, which is dustyforcolorado.com. It has my email, it has my office address, it has my cell phone, it has my office number. It has all of my social media platforms, the radios that I'm on, the news pieces that I'm pushing out through op-eds. And I really do want to be a collective of your voice, and I need to hear from you to be able to do that. So please reach out.
Hi everyone, I'm State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer, District 23, and I'm coming to you from Rifle, Colorado. I'm over here at an energy conference, talking with folks on the other side of the slope. So it's been pretty fun, and it was a great drive over. We have a beautiful state. Hey, before I begin, I want to thank the sponsors of this event. Res Church, all the folks that are helping out there, and Trent and Sandy, thank you so much for putting this event on and giving us the opportunity to speak with people, constituents and Coloradoans, and let them know what's going on down at the Capitol. And for those of you that are there tonight, thank you so much for participating and engaging. Appreciate all of you as well, taking time out of your evening to come hear some legislators talk about things happening in the state of Colorado. With that, I just want to let you know, first of all, I am on the Joint Budget Committee. I'm one of 6 members of the General Assembly who actually write the state budget. Now, I've got some kind of bad news, though, about our budget. We found out last year that we are in a structural deficit, and it's caused because we have overspent year after year after year. It's not because we're in a recession. It's not because of Tabor. It's not because you don't pay enough taxes. It's just, quite frankly, we have overspent. Last year, we were $1.2 billion overspent, which means we can't pay all of our bills, basically, you know, without taking out of our reserve. So it was a daunting task, but we were able to balance our budget, which is a constitutional mandate. But unfortunately, we used kind of what I called shell game shenanigans, and we moved cash funds around, we took interest off of funds, we did some one-time savings that we were able to use into our general fund, you know, checked under the couch cushions, you know, shook the trees, got the low-hanging fruit, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, we were able to balance the budget, which is good news. We were able to fund K through 12 education. We funded higher education. We were able to put some additional funding towards child welfare, and we were able to increase Medicaid provider rates by 1.6%, which is still not where it needs to be, but it's better than the 0, you know, increase that the governor's request came in with. We were still able to do all of that, but however, just last week I found out when I was at another meeting with the Joint Budget Committee that we're going to start off our next year about $700 million in the hole. So we've got a lot of work to do on the budget. Myself, your other northern legislators, we're all working together to try and trim programs, cut programs, do what we can to get the spending under control, because just like you, when you sit around your kitchen table trying to figure out your budget, the state needs to live within its means. So that's what we're working on at the Joint Budget Committee. A couple other things I just want to talk to you about real quickly is with regard to K through 12 education and funding for that. You know, a lot of times we hear from our Democrat colleagues across the aisle that, gosh, we're just going to have to increase taxes so we can fund education. This year I was able to get an amendment on the School Finance Act that essentially earmarks the appropriate amount of funding in the future for education. It's not an increase in taxes, it's just saying, hey, this is our priority, and as a legislature, we will vote to increase the funding and fully fund education as required under the Constitution. So I was able to get that passed, and what it means is about an additional $234 million will be put into our, what's called the Kids Matter Fund in our state education fund to fund education. So I think that was a real win for us. The second thing I want to tell you about is the bill that I carry to defend law enforcement, to back the blue, and it was the implementation bill for Proposition 130. And for those of you who don't remember, Proposition 130 was the ballot measure that passed this last fall that said the state needs to fund $350 million of our general fund money to local law enforcement agencies for recruitment, retention, and training of local law enforcement officers in cities and counties. So I was able to get the bill passed that promises to do about $35 million a year for the next 10 years, because we're going to pay our full $350 million that we owe over the course of the next 10 years, and I was able to get that bill passed. So I think that's extremely important, because one of the things I hear about a lot when I'm out walking and talking to folks, or folks see me at Costco or King Soopers, is they're concerned about public safety. They're concerned about the safety in their communities, in their neighborhoods. They want to be able to have their kids walk home from school and feel safe. They don't want to have to worry about their cars being stolen or things being ripped off from their homes. So I was able to get that passed, feel pretty good about that. Now there was one bill though that was just egregious, at least egregious in my mind, maybe not my colleagues across the aisle, but I called it the War on Parents and Family Bill. It was House Bill 1312, and yes, it did pass, and yes, the governor did sign it into law. But this is the bill that jeopardized parents from parenting rights, being able to have time with their children, that they could lose custody if they wouldn't call their child by their chosen name. So in other words, if your child decided to pick a different name, a name different than what you gave them at birth, and you didn't call them by it, you could have been penalized. You could have had parenting time taken away. You could have lost custody. The bill started that way in the House, came over to the Senate. We were able to get some changes, but it's still a bad bill, and it's still, in my mind, Democrats are just claiming war on parents and families, and it's something that we're all going to have to work on and engage in to try and make it right and get it back to where it needs to be. So anyways, those are some of the bills, most important things going on, at least in my world when I'm down at the Capitol. Sorry I can't be there this evening to answer questions and to engage with you personally, but again, really appreciate you taking your time out to come listen to a bunch of legislators on a Thursday night when maybe you had other family things that you could be doing. Thank you again, and thank you again to our sponsors of this event. Have a great evening.
All right, folks, I promise that we're almost done, so blame them if they continue to talk, because, they do like to talk, and we love to hear from them. So basically, the way I want to kind of end this is, what's the outlook for 26? We want to walk out of here and, be motivated, and want to hear from you guys on, what's the outlook for 26? What are some things maybe you're going to work on in 26? And, we need to win seats, and we need to.
And just real quick, I want to add on to that. Maybe it's 26, maybe it's 5-10 years down the road, but how also can we turn Colorado red?
Well, here's the best part about the Democrats being Democrats. You know why they're fighting amongst each other right now? Is because President Trump is winning. He is winning, and he's doing a damn good job doing it. So, sorry, I shouldn't have cussed like that. I apologize doing that in a church.
You're forgiven.
So here's the thing. We have a real opportunity in the Senate, and I don't know about the House, but we have 12. We call ourselves the Dirty Dozen. There's 23 of them. There's 12 of us. We have a really good chance of flipping 4 to 5 seats. We need 6 to be in the majority, but even being in the minority by 1 vote is a big deal for the state Senate, and we could get a lot closer to being in the majority. So, and here's what I mean by when I say the Democrats have overplayed their hand. There are rumors and speculation of a special session. And the reason why they want to bring this special session is because Jared Polis realized that The big beautiful bill is going to cut overtime, taxes on overtime and taxes on tips. That's a $250 million hit to the Colorado budget. So he wants to call a special session to make sure we raise your taxes. That's what he wants to do. They have overplayed their hand. They've overplayed their hand with parental rights. They've overplayed their hand with Second Amendment. And now they want to call a special session to raise your taxes. They are out of control. It's time for a new leadership. It's time for more Republicans, and we need your help to do it. So I hope that everybody will get out there, call a friend, get out there, help walk precincts, get these folks reelected. They have to run again in another year. And let's go out, flip some seats, and let's make Colorado great again. So thank you.
So expect us again to be in a budget issue in 26. Again, as what was mentioned, we're forecasted as of now to cut $700 million. That's as of now. Now, what Democrats have done in the past is, you know that Unclaimed Property Trust Fund? Yeah, they pulled up to date over $800 million from the Unclaimed Property Trust Fund to fund all our programs, to go around our Tabor, to go around fees, enterprises. It's capped. So expect them to continue to play that narrow, and then they're going to go after Tabor because they're going to use that mess of the budget deficit to go after Tabor, go back to the voters, and we're going to see more of the same. Probably not as extreme because it's an election year, so they're going to try to play moderate. So just remember that, because what happens is, remember what happened to Colorado Cash Back, 2 years ago with the midterm election? It was your Tabor refund, just given early, but they called it something different. So now we're going to call their bluff and say, well, you guys were the ones giving out this stimulus check, which is actually your Tabor refund. And now they're trying to take that away from you. So I think we need to make sure that we stay vigilant, because they're going to try to play moderate, especially those in kind of like Dan and I, we're in competitive seats. So these other Democrats in competitive seats are going to play moderate as well. But continue to expect more of the same when it comes to Second Amendment, school choice, landlords, and attack on oil and gas, because that stuff's coming.
So in 26, it's simple. We just got to get more Republicans elected. It's that simple. That's what I foresee. We need to get more good candidates up forward. I see one here that ran last year and came really close. Craig Sullivan. Yeah, I forgot what House district you were. 34. That's in Adams County. He came really close in a very strong Democrat seat. So it could be done. It could be done. We need the help of volunteers, of people to help us out, spread the word. Get door knocking, those things really do help, and we just need to get more Republicans elected to get us some help up there, and we can turn Colorado around, to be honest.
So I'm not going to add anything other than just thank you for moderating, putting this event on. It's been a great event. Thank you all for coming on a weeknight and participating, and hope to see you participating more. And yeah, just really appreciate everything tonight. Thank you.
I see the writing is on the wall. Democrats know they're in trouble. They've done it to themselves. You can't go much longer with this type of agenda without people noticing. People are getting involved. The future that I see for 2026 is getting involved in your local party. It's joining a board and commission in your local area. So that's what I commit to, is getting volunteers out. That's how we flip seats. That's how we take back control. And the first thing you can do is join a board and commission. Get involved. Take the first step. You've done it tonight. You're here, and you continue to do it, right? So take the next one. Get involved in your local politics. That's how you can support us, because we're all term limited. Colorado has the best term limits in the entire country, I believe. So we need people to replace us. We can't be here forever, and quite frankly, I don't want to. I want to be here to support you when you decide to take this leap, because this job sucks. So again, it's an honor and a privilege of my life to do this. From everything that I started with the grassroots up to this level here. 2026 is a long time away, as Senator Pelton has noted. We are going back to session, I believe, in August to fix a multitude of things. I would be remiss without ending this evening with just, you know, I love these people on stage. We have had many disagreements, but we've sat in a room, we've laid it out, and we've gotten over it, because if we do not focus the mission on rowing the boat in the same direction, even when we have disagreements, we're allowed to argue with each other and hate each other. Did you hear that? We're allowed to have personality differences and dislike each other. But when it comes to what's so important at the end of the day, which is preserving the state that we live in, because I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want my kids to be taken out of their school. I want them to have their lifelong friends. My dad, my mom live here. I don't want to go anywhere. And if we don't make the decision to put aside our differences when it comes to petty stuff, and just move forward in the same direction as to getting good conservatives into seats across all of our boards and commissions, across all our city councils, across all our commissions, across our House districts, across our Senate, across our Congress, then we don't have a mission. The last thing I'll say tonight is my wife, Carolyn Weinberg, is sitting in the back. She's my chief of staff, literally, not only at home, but down at the Capitol as well. I could not do this if I could not see my family and wake up in the morning with my kids, cook them breakfast, and send them to school. I could not do this without Carolyn taking my schedule, showing me love even though it's frustration. I wish I could detach from the issues at the end of the day like my good colleague, Representative Barone. But this is all we eat, sleep, and breathe. And honestly, at the end of everything, without her, I couldn't do this. And then secondarily, without you, who, you know, you were at my house last weekend, all 60 of you, having fun with me, barbecuing, having a beer. I can't do it without you guys. So big shout out, big kudos to you. Big shout out to doing this event tonight. It's an honor to be here. Welcome to my district. I'm just kidding. This is Laurie Garcia Sanders. I'm across the road. But yeah, 2026 is a long time away. Let's deal with special session. Keep engaged. And I appreciate you guys being here tonight.
We love you, Ron.
All right, folks, let's give it up for your representatives here and your senators. All right, folks, before you take off, I just want to say a couple things here. We've got Larimer County, Weld County, and is Adams County here? Can you guys come up here real quick? Sandra, can you come up here real quick? Sandy and Sandra. Guys, these are the people you need to be connecting with. If you have not connected with Adams County and you live in Adams County, connect with them. If you are in Larimer County, connect with your Larimer County Republican Party as well as Weld. One more thing real quick, guys. I know it's almost time. If you can give me just 2 more minutes, please. Sandy Figueroa, can you come up here? And Keith, where's Keith at? Can you guys come up here? Guys, I could not have done this without these two folks right here. And so please give them a round of applause because they deserve it. So thank you. And Nate for hosting this as well. I appreciate Res Church for doing this. Guys, let's stay motivated. We're going to do this again next year. It'll be closer to when the legislative session ends. We appreciate you guys coming out here. Thank you so much, and let's win, win, win. Thank you.